Okay, so we talked about like New England colonies, for example, right? So the New England colonies, these are the ones that are up north. So you see like they're the ones that are up in the pink from the maps we've looked at. Okay, so it's like Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts. So these colonies, remember, they didn't have a lot of farming because the soil wasn't good for farming. The growing season was short. Okay, so farming's not the best in the New England colonies. The way that they made money, they focused on the economy of like shipping and lumber. You know what lumber is? So lumber is like chopping down trees, for example. Then they can make things with the trees or with the wood from the trees. They can make boats. They can make fences. They can build houses. So lumber is a big part of the economy in the north. It's cold up there and there's a lot of trees. So yeah, they chop down the trees and that's how they make money. They also have ports. They have, again, fishing, hunting in that region. Okay, so you should have your notes out, and then in the New England colonies section, you can be typing this in. In the New England colonies section, you can type in. Okay, so that's the economy. So some of the main people that were in the New England colonies, okay, you had the Puritans and the Pilgrims. So remember we did readings about how these people were trying to get away from the Church of England. And so with that, some of these people were actually pretty intense when it came to their religious views. They would actually punish some people in the colonies that didn't believe the way they did. They would put people in the barracks if they missed church on Sunday. So they would try to like publicly humiliate them. They would try to make laws where they could look to put people in jail if they missed church. So these people wanted religious freedom, like to not follow the Church of England, but they didn't always grant that religious freedom to people that believed differently than they did. So in addition to the rules that they had to follow with the King of England, they also, though, could make their own decisions on the local level. So they held town meetings and they'd make decisions. For example, like in Virginia, they created the House of Burgesses. It was their own House of Representatives. So they did have a level of self-government in the early colonies. Okay, they had a level of self-government in the early colonies. Okay, so the middle colonies, they have some good soil for farming. It's better than like the northeast colonies. Okay, so go ahead and put that in. Again, in the notes, you have the area for each colony. Okay, so they call the middle colonies, they call it the breadbasket colonies because they're able to grow grains like wheat, barley, rye that they use for making breads. They raise livestock. Okay, so middle colonies, this was a key way that they were able to make some money. Yeah, they had some farming, more farming than like the New England colonies, the ones that are at the top of the country or the top of the colonies. Okay, so New York City and Philadelphia. So these are busy ports though, so they make a lot of money. So again, boats have to be paying to even go into these ports. Especially the middle colonies, they had immigrants coming from like Germany, from the Netherlands, from Sweden. I think that these immigrants were treated very well. We think that these immigrants were treated very well. Not generally. They generally were not treated with a lot of kindness. Bigger focus here on large plantations. So here they have huge farms. So this is where they have, again, more like slavery. Okay, they have a good like growing season. It lasts for a lot longer. It's warm for majority of the year, so they can really just grow a ton of like tobacco, rice, indigo, cotton. This is where they can make a lot of their money, is from farming. Where they can make a lot of their money. Okay, so again, we highlighted how the southern colonies, how they used slave labor. They were so excited about how much money they were making from slavery. These plantation owners in the South, they're later willing to fight a war to try to preserve slavery. As the United States is growing and expanding westward, they are, there's like a debate between northern states and southern states on if slavery will be allowed. The southern states want it to be allowed with the hope that they can then create new plantations in the West, that their kids can get rich from new plantations, that their grandkids can get rich. So they're making just a ton of money from using enslaved labor, from having people that are out working on the plantations. Okay, so like in the South, and it's this way even today, they don't have many factories. And this is a key reason why. Like the North have more factories. They didn't care about slavery. They didn't like it because they didn't need it to make money on. The South, they don't invest in factories in the same way. And so this is what the South's economy becomes more like dependent on. A lot of people in the South, they thought like, okay, we need to keep having slavery in order to make money. So again, they had very little industry. They had few factories in the South. Okay, so now what you're going to do, you're going to go ahead and compare and contrast two of the different colonial regions. So for example, you can write about the similarities between the southern colonies and the middle colonies, or you can write about the similarities between the New England colonies and the middle colonies. So you can write some similarities and some differences in a paragraph there in your notes. Okay? And then also you can end it by explaining which region would you like to live in. Would you like to live more in like the New England colonies, more in the middle or the South, and then why? And so that's how we're finishing up here.